a few things that are interesting that I picked up on watching this are, first, why Japan is so unproductive, but why Japan works so hard. It's kind of an interesting thing that I like, that hopefully you picked up on. Like, in the West, individuality is kind of the thing, individual responsibility, the results. The West is a much more results oriented kind of society, but Japan is more of a process oriented society, a group oriented society, which means that in a company, in a business, in an organization, it's not so much like the results you get, is how you get to those results that are more important. Up to now, take for example, the news of the day here is SoftBank. SoftBank was the quote unquote NASDAQ whale. I was talking to someone deep into the financial world, and he was explaining to me, a student of mine a few days ago, he was explaining to me, because basically it was revealed that SoftBank, I think, placed some bets, and was it 40 billion or 4 billion? I forgot, it was 40 or 40 billion. I forgot which one, but they made a shitload of money on some riskier bets, in the NASDAQ market. And what he was telling me was basically, I was like, well, they made a bunch of money. Why did the stock price go down? And it was basically saying like, well, that's not traditional market moves here. And so it's kind of a turnoff for Japanese investors, because that's not how normal traditional companies function. It's a bit too aggressive for the Japanese taste, so it's not so much that they made a shitload of money, it's how they made the money that really rubbed Japanese investors the wrong way. And whether it be temporarily, they came out with some other news a few days later, but the price dropped, significantly because of that. So, the unproductive nature of Japanese companies and societies is pretty much, as long as there's no major, for me, again, as long as there's no major shocks to society as a whole, things are gonna pretty much remain the same. It's kind of how I think of things here, right? Oh yeah, the expensive fruit fucking thing, right? Sorry, I gotta fucking stretch my shoulder. I've got a fucking frozen shoulder. I gotta keep stretched out. The expensive fruit and the person growing the fruit is kind of like a big thing. I've never seen this fucking fruit. Like, I don't know where this shit is. It's in Ginza somewhere, some shop. I don't know where the fuck it is. It's probably a tourist attraction or something, but I very much know that there are shops that sell high quality, very expensive fruit. In the square watermelons that I'm sure you've heard about. I've heard about before. I came to Japan, that cost $100. I thought everyone in Japan ate, but nobody eats that shit. Those are kind of corporate related gifts. I've never seen the shops. I don't know where the fuck to buy the shit. I would have to Google it, And I used to, before COVID, I used to go to Ginza a lot, but I just don't know where to find it. So, but those kind of high class expensive gifts are kind of common in Japan. But I'd say that's like another characteristic of Japan. Like, you gotta know where the shit is to know where the shit is, So, or you can just like read about it and become some kind of tourist attraction. You take pictures in front of like an expensive ass fucking cantaloupe. I don't know, but I don't know what the fuck people do, but it is kind of those two extremes. So, that's, yeah, not an everyday thing. Don't be misled by that at all. People are not running around Japan buying fucking $300 cantaloupes at all. Precision. I really like how the host of the show, explained precision as it relates to Japanese businesses and things like that, because it is very much true. Like, precision and commitment to what you're doing is a very important thing. And yeah, my bad. Sorry for the interruptions, but it's late. I gotta check on family stuff and stuff like that. But anyway, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, precision. Yeah, but I really like her explanation of precision in Japan and how meticulous Japanese people are. Like I say, Japanese people are kind of mildly obsessive compulsive about things, and you can kind of see it in the detail that she really puts into her melon. And that's something I would say that a lot of people who are specialists really have. And that's what turns into like a lot of the creativity and the beauty in the depth of a lot of like artistry, food, a lot of the culture that really makes Japan. So I really like the way she highlighted it. Also, if you watch how she reacts to how the melon growing lady reacts to the host eating things, like, showing your pleasure for the effort that someone put into something is very important. You can't just eat, like, oh, it's good. Like, you need to kind of a little bit overreact. It's kind of part of Japanese manners, and the person also a bit overreacts to something. Like, she knows her melons are the fucking best, but oh, I'm so happy that you fucking love my shit. Like, it's kind of like Japanese manners. So it's something I'd like for you to pick up on. Yeah, reading something. Karoshi is something that happens in Japan, but that fucking class, like the topic is a serious topic, and I like I think the crazy class, is that was kind of tough for me to watch because I'd never seen no shit like that before in my life. Like, and just the guy hosting it, whatever, like, that's just not a normal thing that I've seen or I'm aware of at all here in Japan. But the guy who worked for the supermarket company, I think that is more valuable information for you. It might be something that might be completely like out of the box thinking for you. But again, the duty is kind of a really strong motivator here in Japan. The sense of the obligation, to your job, and something that the guy said where, if he did quit or lose his job, he wouldn't really know his place in Japanese society, is a really, really, really strong motivator for for many Japanese people. So even though it might not be something you could understand, that someone's willing to go that far, for a job that they might not even like, might not pay them that much, just understanding that cultural obligation is something that I think is definitely important, and that I'd like for you to understand. Yeah. Again, the crying in the class was a bit weird for me. Not so much picking it, but it does show some of the situations that happen in Japan. But that type of class is not something that's normal at all. The same thing, the crying class, that's not something that's normal at all. Job hunting for students. I had talked to a student today who's in the job hunting process, and she's totally freaking out about it. Yeah, it is what it is. Like, balancing group harmony with expressing yourself in Japan is a constant balance that people have to deal with. Even me and my son, I was explaining to my wife today, like, our job as parents, especially moving forward in the future of Japan, is teaching him how to be in the group but not of the group, and that class is kind of really showing that dynamic where a lot of those young people were taught up to now that they should be of the group, but the dynamics in Japan over the last, like, let's say 10 years have changed quite a bit, where showing your opinion and being striking out on your own is kind of important, but not too much yet. So it is kind of one of those things that's gonna I'm very much watching intently how it's gonna play out, and I have an idea how it might play out. You've heard me talk about it before, the dinosaurs, the growing pains. So I don't know, I'm just monitoring it, especially with my son. Like, for now it's not such a big deal, but when he hits his teens or 15, something like that, I'm gonna really have to kind of be on it and really kind of coach him in the direction, not that I want him to go into, but the direction that will prepare him to thrive in the Japan of 2040, let's say. Like, that's my goal. It's not like Japan today, what's the best look? It's like, okay, 2040, when you're like on your own, when it's your time, how do you have the skills to thrive in that type of environment, whatever it's going to be. So the hippie street musician, more like, I don't really have too much to say about him. This episode was not too controversial for me. I just had some questions about how he makes his living. Like, I'm guessing he might be on unemployment just because, maybe even living with his parents. I'm not sure. Like, just because, like, he doesn't make that much money as a street performer, unless he has some savings to move back with his parents. I'm not quite sure how his situation works, but if the dude's happy, I'm happy. Do your thing, dude. Like, I'm not, knocking you at all, but, just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna quit and play my fucking, like, whatever that thing was, like, in the street. Like, it's not, I don't know. Like, it kind of left me with several questions about, I'd like a bit more in his background situation. But of course, that's not something that can be addressed in that limited time frame. And it does make for a good story for someone who's like bucking mainstream culture and doing what makes them, and prioritizing their health and their happiness, which of course I can't knock. But I would say in Japan at this current moment in time is something that might not be a viable option for a lot of people. So I'm just a bit curious about a bit more of his situation. Not judging him, but just want to know how that works. That's all. That's my 2 cents about it. But again, for me, episode 2 was a bit more straightforward. Besides, the only thing I had like a little bit of like cringe was the crazy class like for work related stress. So that's about it.